Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn about T.S. Eliot's Tradition and Individual Talent, Module 7th from the Modern Criticism. T.S. Eliot's Tradition and Individual Talent come under the Modern Criticism, and in the previous lectures we learned about the Victorian criticism, Matthew Arnold's touchstone method. Now, this is the part of modern criticism, especially of the new criticism. And in tradition and individual talent, T.S. Eliot given importance to the tradition as well as the individual talent and how tradition is related to the individual talent. Tradition and the Individual Talent, first published in 1919, literary magazine The Egoist. It was published in two parts in the September and December issues of The Egoist literary magazine. The essay was written by a young American poet, T.S. Eliot, whose lifespan was 1888 to 1965. C. Tradition and the Individual Talent was composed early in Eliot's career, having contributed heavily to the founding of the New Criticism movement. Here we can understand how New Criticism movement is important and the essay come under the New Criticism movement. Because of the New Criticism movement, T.S. Eliot the wrote down the tradition and the individual talent. Though new criticism practices close reading and emphasizes the aesthetic and stylistic elements of poetry rather than the ideological or biographical ones. So, in tradition and individual talent, T.S. Eliot given importance to the tradition. In tradition and the individual talent, Eliot advocates for the separation of art from artist and argues that tradition has less to do with imitation and more to do with understanding and expanding upon the intellectual and literary context in which one is writing. So, here we can understand how T.S. Eliot given importance to the understanding and expanding upon the intellectual and literary context. He never given importance to the imitation, but he think about the individual talent. The essay is divided into three sections, with the first section outlining Eliot's definition of tradition, the second expanding upon the relationship between poetry and the poet, and the last part offering a brief conclusion to the particular essay. How it is an essay in modern criticism. Eliot defending the role of tradition in helping new writers to be modern. Essay is one of the central paradoxes of Eliot's writing. That is, central paradoxes of Eliot's writing, indeed of much modernism, that in order to move forward, it often looks to the past. If we want to move forward, we have to look into the past even more directly and more pointedly than previous poets had. T.S. Eliot especially said about the past how we should directly and pointedly see towards the past. This essay is called as written against Romanticism, and it is called as Anti-Romanticism. So, new criticism is against the Romanticism and tries to define the tradition. Unlike the Romantics' idea of original creation and inspiration, Eliot's concept of tradition foregrounds how important older writers are to contemporary writers. Homer and Dante are Eliot's contemporaries because they inform his work as much as those alive in the 20th century do. In this particular essay, here we can understand how T.S. Eliot given importance to the contemporary writers, that is Homer and Dante, and he defined Homer's Odyssey in the next slide. In the next part, we can understand, we can learn about the Homer's, the Odyssey, and how it is a particularly conveyed the tradition and told about the importance of the tradition. Importance of tradition. As Eliot put it, someone said, the dead writers are removed from us because we know so much more than they did. Precisely, precisely, and they are that which we know. He goes on to argue that a modern poet should write with the literature of all previous ages in his bones, as though Homer and Shakespeare were his or her contemporaries. This historical sense, which is a sense of the timeless as well as of the temporal and of the timeless and of the temporal together, is what makes the writer traditional. See, here importance given to the historical sense, and it is at the same time what makes a writer most acutely conscious of his place in time, of his contemporaneity. Here we can understand how Eliot puts the dead writers are remote from us because we know so much more than they did. And he given importance to the historical sense because it is a sense of the timeless as well as of the temporal. In the next lecture, we learn about the tradition, what is the concept of tradition according to T.S. Eliot, and how he has given importance to the individual talent, and about the Homer and his opinion about the Shakespeare, Dante, and his criticism in tradition and individual talent. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.